Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. We're just going to wait a few minutes before we kick off our positive parenting series. Wait for everyone to get in the room. Great. Lots of you joining today. This is exciting. All right. I'm going to be bringing in our expert, Caley Kukla. 1 second. Hi, everyone. We're going to get started in a minute. Hi, Caley.
Hey, Kristen. So good to see you.
You too. Welcome, everyone. I think we have quite a few people here right now, which is exciting. Apparently, this is a very popular topic of back to school. So first, I want to welcome everyone to the Lingokids Positive Parenting Series. This is our second season, our third episode, and we're so glad that you guys are all here to learn about the hot topic of the anxiety around back to school, which I think every parent, it feels like, in the world has right now. So I'm so excited that we have Caley Kukla here to talk to us about this topic. If you've been following her on Instagram, she has amazing resources around back to school, so definitely check those out after this. But I'll let her give a brief introduction, but she has a master's in early childhood education. She was a preschool teacher, a behavioralist, and she really helps parents just find harmony with their children and find positive just interactions. And I just can't say enough about her content. It's amazing. I screenshot it all the time. So we're so excited to have her here to talk about all things around back to school anxiety. So welcome, Caley.
Oh, Kirsten, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. This topic is near and dear to my heart because my children just started to go back to school in the last couple of weeks. So while I was writing content for this, I was living the experience as well. So I'm right there with you. But yeah, I love taking a connection-based approach to parenting, being really intentional, not just in the interactions with our children, but with ourselves too. So one of the messages I hope that I really drive home on my account is that it starts with us, and then the rest of it flows and radiates between us and our children. So
yes,
I'm excited to be
I definitely
here.
feel good reading your content. So yes, it is helping at least for me.
Awesome.
So I think with everyone kind of had a different kind of school year the last year, whether it was in person, virtual, hybrid, homeschooling, or now it's kids just starting school for the first time in preschool or kindergarten. So I think everyone has a little bit of a different experience, but there's still a lot of anxiety around back to school, whether that's from the child side or from the parent side, like you just mentioned. So what are you hearing from your community right now about kind of what are the biggest anxieties people are feeling about back to school this year?
Gosh, well, I think that it's just the unknown, which as a professional too, it's tricky to talk about because there is still a lot of unknown. My kids went back to school for a week and a half, and then we were back home for a week because COVID shut it down, and now we're back. So there's just a lot of unknown, which requires a lot of flexibility. And I think we've all had to be flexible in ways that we did not anticipate for the past year and a half. So I think that, acknowledging that, hey, there's a lot of unknown. There's still a lot of pivoting that has to do. I actually started hating the word pivoting because I was just like, I'm sick of pivoting. I don't want to do it anymore. But we're not at the finish line yet. This is still really real, and to be flexible and allow yourself space to adapt. And because you are the leader, we are the leaders of the house. So showing our kids how we can be flexible, it's safe to roll with it, and what can we control, and what do we just let go of, and knowing where we can lean into that predictability for ourselves and for our children, and know when do we just need to let go and be open, as vulnerable and as uncomfortable as that might be.
Yeah. And one of the things I think that you talk about that we can control is a routine and a schedule. And I think like the last year was just crazy. Like everyone had to deal with a totally new schedule and routine. And then it's the summer, which it's just kind of a free for all for a lot of people. Now we're heading back into the school year with a routine. Like what are your best tips for parents who are just like, kids are not following the routine, we need help?
Well, at the last moment, I'm so excited. At the last moment, I went and I grabbed our family's calendar,
Oh, perfect.
because I wanted to share it with everybody, because I come at this with the mindset of, yes, we need a routine. Routines build predictability, and that predictability helps us feel safe. We like to know what to expect. And when the world is full of the unexpected, if we can create some routine and predictability in our house, it at least gives us a really solid foundation, right? So, and sometimes parents can shy away from that and say, wait, I don't, I'm not that parent that has the dinner on the table exactly at 5:30 or 6 o'clock every night. That's just not me. That's fine. I like to say there's anchor points, and then there's some ebbs and flows of flexibility. So I'll show you an example of what anchor points will be. So this is, now you'll see my children help and they customize it. Okay, so my 6-year-old loves to do his own illustration. So this is actually a plate with a fork and a knife for breakfast. And the stop sign indicates the stop sign at the end of our cul-de-sac for going on a walk. And then this is his shirt and socks, and I think they're pants or underwear. Oh no, these are his underwear. He was really proud, a 6-year-old, sorry. He's really proud of his underwear drawing. So this is him, getting dressed. And so we just have, we know we're going to eat breakfast every morning. That's predictable. So we give our kids that level of predictability. Now, I didn't attach, we're going to eat breakfast at 7:30 in the morning. I didn't attach a time. It's not rigid. It stays fluid. And what this allows us to do, especially, so we were just back in the routine of getting back to school, and then it shut down. So we had to pivot and be flexible. And my kids needed, the first few days, they were tail spinning. They didn't know what to expect. So we went back to this and used, this was just enough structure for them. Okay, we went swimming, and daddy ate lunch with them. So it was just enough structure that they knew what to expect. And they also feel really empowered because he got a say in that. Both of them worked together. They worked on that together with me to make it happen.
Oh, I love that. I feel like a lot of us are going to be making those schedules, those calendars after that. So definitely, if anyone makes those, tag Lingokids, because we'd love to see that.
Yeah.
And so with this kind of change in kids, like going back to school, not going back to school, or like being stopped from going back to school, we're hearing, I think, a lot from our community about kids just not wanting to go. Like they're just like, I'm not going to school. I'm staying home. Like I want to be. So what is your advice for parents when they deal with that? It's like right before you're supposed to get in the car and you're getting that roadblock.
Yeah. Gosh, I feel like we've heard a lot of that from adults too, who have to go back in the office and they're like, hey, no, I really like working from home, it's totally valid. So yeah, I think when kids don't want to go get in the car, the first thing is be proactive. Be proactive and give yourself that buffer time, because the moment we start feeling that sense of urgency and we're pushing our kids, like we've all been there, like, come on, we're going to be late, like hustle, get in the car, that's the moment our kids are going to put on the brakes and really, dig in their heels and say, no, I'm not going. And now you've got to like wrestle an alligator with 10 arms into the car seat, into the car, down the street to get them to school. So the first thing I'd say is just build in that buffer time so you decrease the sense of urgency. Then after that, I'd say, sitting in those feelings of not wanting to go. And again, this is why we want buffer time. We have to have time to do this, to say, you know what? It is really different going to school. We haven't done this in a while, because the moment we try and meet our kids' emotion with logical reasons why they love school, you get to see your friends, it's going to be so much fun, is the moment they're going to yell louder, no, I'm not going, because they want you to understand what they're saying. They want you to understand that message. So validating that too, and then giving them something to look forward to. So we validate, I get it, you don't want to go. This is really different than what we've been doing, right? We've been home a lot this year. And then saying, what's one thing you remember about school? Or if this is their first time going, what's something you're curious about? What are you looking forward to? Because in that, what's bumping them up is into this space where they are able to collaborate and be curious and calm.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think it's just, yeah, building out that time is so important.
Yeah.
So it decreases the parent stress, because I think it's so much on us. We just like want to get them out the door and not maybe have that conversation. But when we build time in, then we are able to, and it's a lot more successful than throwing them in the car.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And so so we got the kids in the car, we're at school. What are kind of the anxieties you're hearing that kids are having once they're kind of in the classroom? Because I think a lot of kids haven't maybe been around other kids for the last year or so. And so it's like, or around other adults, like teachers, like how do you kind of, what kind of advice can you give for kids like interacting with people again at school?
Yeah, I think, what I'm hearing is there's actually, there's a large number of children who are questioning the safety, like the germs.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of like germaphobe now, is what my girlfriends call it,
Yep.
and because that is the world, that's been our world for the past
Right.
18 months at this point. And so I think that it's really important to focus on what are we doing to keep ourselves safe and our friends safe. So if children are wearing masks to school, one of my my kids is at school, hey, this is what Miss So-and-so decided would help keep you and your friends safe.
Mm-hmm.
And focusing on that instead of trying to talk them out of it. So, this is different, or you're not going to know anyone in your class, and let's practice, empower them with something. Let's practice with your dolls, or you want to practice with me, or I'll be the new kid and you be the kid who's been in the classroom for a while, and I'm going to come up to you and ask if I can color with you. So practicing this stuff at home is, kids learn this stuff through play. I've talked about that here before with Lingokids. It's so powerful for kids to get that reassurance of just practicing school at home. And I also have another visual to show you guys.
Okay.
But it's this little, I blocked out because it has my kids' school. So if you have access, I didn't block out the playground and the classroom. So if you have access to pictures, or can ask the teacher to take pictures and send them to you and just print them out to show your kiddos what it looks like. Give them that concrete visual of what it's going to look like.
That's really helpful. Yeah, I think that just the kids can imagine it, they can see it there, and it gives it a better example when they're kind of doing the role playing with you.
Totally.
So I think that leads us to a good question about parents. So parents, I think a lot of parents are nervous about sending their kids back to school, like with COVID and the masks and just everything that's going on and the safety of it all. So I know a lot of your content, and with Lingokids, it's about empowering parents and caregivers to just kind of take themselves first before they deal with everything else around them. So what is your advice for parents that are dealing with going back to school right now and have anxiety about whether it's COVID or just a transition of being in the classroom again?
And this ties in with someone's question they just asked about, he peels off of dad really easily, and then with me, not so much.
Yep.
And I think the number one thing that is so important is that we're confident with our kids in that situation. We can relate and validate with them at home before it's actually game time. In the heat of the moment, it's so important, because our kids co-regulate with us, that we're really confident. My job is to keep you safe. And then when I pass you on to someone else, your teacher or the school admin that's outside, or however the drop-off looks at your specific school, prep them for that. I'm going to hand you to a safe person. They're going to keep you safe. They're going to get you to your classroom, and that's when you can see your teacher, classroom, whatever. So I think it's that confidence for us. So then to deal with our anxiety is really important to do that not in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Is really important to talk with our safe people, like our partner or girlfriends who understand, a counselor, someone who can really help you process and work through that, normalize these feelings. These are normal feelings, especially given the circumstances we're in right now. It is scary. Like, we've already had a shutdown at our school. And so I'm looking at my husband like, is this the right choice? But having those conversations with each other away from the kiddos so that when we show up for our kids, we can be that confident person that guides them towards that transition and lets them know, hey, you got this. You can handle this. And so can I.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful. And yeah, I think a lot of your content kind of talks about that and how we can kind of better support ourselves so we can better support our children. And so I think we have a few more minutes left. So I'm going to get to some of the questions that people have asked you. And if anyone has questions, there's a little question mark box at the bottom. So feel free to ask Caley some questions and I'll hopefully get to them. So we have a lot of homeschooling parents in the Lingokids community. And even if kids aren't going back to the traditional classroom, they're going back to the classroom at home with homeschooling. And parents are still feeling anxiety there. So what advice do you have for parents who are homeschooling that are feeling this kind of back to school anxiety like a lot of other parents?
I think figuring out what it's about is the most important. I think a lot of my homeschool friends and moms that I've spoken with have said that a lot of them didn't plan on being homeschool parents, and they are now because it's what is most, what works best for their family. And so I think one of the big themes here just throughout this whole pandemic is let's normalize what doesn't feel normal. Let's normalize that we're all doing the best we can with the circumstances we've been given and presented, and that it's okay to give yourself a little grace and compassion on days that you might just not have a lot left in the tank. I think a lot of us reached burnout a long time ago.
Yep.
Right. To be perfectly honest, I know you've got a new one at home, like burnout was maxed out a long time ago. Right. So just giving yourself some grace and compassion, and know that the most important thing is that your kids feel safe and loved. And that is, honest to goodness, the most important foundation, because then their higher functions can be activated in their brain, and that's where learning takes place. So when you step back into that homeschool routine, give yourself a routine that works for you and your family. It may look different than other people's routine, and that's okay. It should. It's what works best for you. And then give yourself permission to meet that routine with compassion on days that you need it. Because this is not, many of us are not where we thought we'd be 2 years ago. Right. It's just, it looks different, and that's okay.
Yeah, we have no other choice. So it's best to approach it with compassion, like you said.
Right.
So this question probably hits home a little bit for you. Transition, like big milestones in the school year. So changing of grades, starting school for their first time, entering middle school, high school. Like how can we? What is your advice for parents who are feeling the joy of that and the excitement, but also the sadness of their baby getting older?
Yeah. Kirsten, I shared with Kirsten when we were getting ready for this that my 6-year-old just started first grade, and that meant in his school, he moves up to like the big kid campus. And I was having this mommy moment, right, of being so incredibly overjoyed that like my little baby has grown into this amazing young child, like just amazing person. And I'm so excited to see how he grows. And I was having grief. I was grieving over the little child. Our family is really left behind the infancy and toddler age, and we are fully in the school age years. And that for me is hard. I love toddlers. And so I think, again, acknowledging both and knowing that it's okay to feel both. I feel like, I caught myself in this script. Well, I shouldn't be sad about it. It's a blessing that I get to see him grow up. This is amazing. But no, you can feel both. No matter what you're feeling, that's okay. So just spending some time and reflecting on that. I went back through and looked at a lot of baby pictures, and just really watched him go through the ages and stages of life again through pictures, and really celebrated where he is now.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's important to remind ourselves it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be really happy about it. And you're going to feel those things at the same time, different times, but either way, it's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think we have time for one last question. And this is a great one. It's how can a teacher help support parents?
I saw that question. I was hoping you were going to ask that.
Yes,
so perfect. I love this because, there's so many great things, and teachers, love you so much and you are angels. And I think I just, for asking that question, I just look up to you and am so grateful for that. So what teachers can do is, one of the great things is ask students to bring a picture of their families with them. So that when they come in and you make a family wall. And what is so powerful, I've been even in toddler rooms where this is up on the wall in, 18 months, 2-year-old rooms, and they go over when they're feeling sad, and they'll go over and they'll find their mommy and daddy, and they'll call the teacher over to look, so that is just such a powerful, tangible, simple way to kind of make that homeschool connection. Also, I would say, give the parents something to do. I know as a parent, right? So when we have something to do, something concrete and active service, when we have purpose, it helps us get out of that separation anxiety spiral. Mm-hmm. So something that can help the parents and the teacher are books like The Kissing Hand is really popular, and The Invisible String. And I've seen teachers give little heart tattoos or heart stickers, or tell parents to draw a heart on their hand, and that's the kiss. And whenever you miss mommy, mommy has one on her hand and child has one on their hand, and then you can touch that. And so it's a really tangible way, especially in those first couple weeks, to make that transition a little more, just ease it a little bit for parents and children. So having that book at school, recommending it for parents, and then bridging that homeschool connection is so powerful for your classroom community.
I love that. And I think that's a great place for us to end, because I know we are at it. We've gone over a little bit on time. So thank you everyone for being here with us. We are going to save this live on the Lingokids page, and feel free to keep asking questions on there, and maybe we can get to some of those. But I just want to thank you, Caley, so much for being here today, for all this expert advice. I feel like I personally learned a lot, and I hope everyone else did too. So if anyone wants to just learn more from Caley, it's Caley Kukla on Instagram. So follow her. She should be on here. We'll tag her on all our Lingokids pages. Again, I can't talk highly enough about her content, so make sure to check it out. And thank you everyone for tuning into the Lingokids Positive Parenting series. We will be back with another one soon. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. And thank you, Caley.
Thank you so much, Kirsten. Take care.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Subscribe and join all our Lingo families around the world in raising amazing kids. Download the Lingokids app and start play learning with your family.